What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel with yet another discussion about House of the Dragon. This time, episode 3. Once again, full spoilers for Fire and Blood, for all of the Song of Ice and Fire, for all of House of the Dragon. So this will, for sure, spoil the future plot of House of the Dragon, unless, as we declared last time, they decide to not go forward with the same story. But
unless they go rogue.
Unless
they're like, oh, you're the rogue prince, I'm the rogue showrunner. Yes. Rhaenyra is going to just solve all the problems.
But this episode and each episode, as we go on, makes me believe like Ryan Connell, rather than moving away from the books, he's like, hey, let's stick with the story and bring stuff that D&D didn't do in Game of Thrones. Let's just throw in everything that we didn't see yet. So suffice it to say, I'm loving it. And suffice it to say, watch Jake's video as well, where we discuss this with all spoilers. I'm a bit
with not all spoilers, with no Fire and Blood spoilers, but spoilers for the episode. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really liking where they're taking Rhaenyra's character.
Yes.
I feel like for the non-book, it's kind of the start of like, oh, this person is going to start good, and then she's going to face challenges, and then she's going to get over it, and she's going to be just. But nope, she's going to face challenges, and then she just
Yeah, I actually am happy because that they're like last week we discussed this, right? Like last week Rhaenyra looked very good coming out of the episode. I think this week already she is entitled, she is irrational in places and not very nice to certain people. So yeah, I like that we've curved this back to like, okay, she isn't Daenerys. Don't think she's Daenerys. She's not going to go save slaves or anything.
Correct.
Yes, and the first point I had on my list is the Princess and the Queen, because I love the small like foreshadowing stuff. The Princess and the Queen is the first novella, obviously, that he wrote about Alicent and Rhaenyra. And we had this nice scene in the God's Wood with that singer who was singing to Rhaenyra. And Alicent comes in there, and this I was looking forward from last episode to kind of see how they would develop that relationship further after the betrayal that Rhaenyra felt. And it seems like Rhaenyra is still mad, and Alicent is trying to, make things better, but Rhaenyra isn't really interested in that. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, Alicent seems like, I mean, I don't know what she'd be mad at Rhaenyra for, but Rhaenyra definitely is kind of like, feels like Alicent is kind of supplanting her and leading to like her role being taken. And Alicent is kind of just like, can we still be friends? And Rhaenyra's just kind of like, no. Also, poor Singer, when you have like, it's like you have to piss a royal off, a terrible position to be in. Like
yes.
When the princess and queen give you directly contradictory orders, and he's just like, I just want him to sing a song. I just don't want to get burned by a dragon or decapitated. But I mean, I guess
if the dragon was the issue, he would have sided with Rhaenyra.
Or decapitated is the issue. both are equally dead.
But I thought it was interesting that he chose Alicent above Rhaenyra. Like, I think they did that on purpose to show, like, okay, Alicent is right. Hierarchically speaking, she's higher at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a nice way to kind of establish that without doing silly exposition. Also, since we're in the book thing now, I thought for a second that might be Mushroom. I was like, is it a small guy? But they said it was Samuel. I was like, no, it's not Mushroom.
No, leave Mushroom out of it. Mushroom. Okay, fine. We can have a Mushroom character.
I just want a Mushroom cameo. Like, just have him at the side. Like, you don't need to.
I can't wait for season 2 for them to announce the custom of Mushroom and for all the Fire and Blood fans to collectively like freak out and start arguing. And I'll be in the middle of those arguments because I can't stay out of them.
You don't love Mushroom.
No, no. Hey, I don't think you're that. Were you that Mushroom fan? I thought it was you, me, and Kyle against the world.
No, I'm not as extreme as you guys. Like, I do think a lot of stuff he says is silly, but I do think that the stuff he says, I get why it's in the book, because I feel like the other two guys that we have the information from aren't reliable. So it's like,
But like,
Mushroom isn't reliable.
I get why he could be important, but why is the Maester including mushroom stuff?
To cover his bases. He like the Maester. They're not going to be like, hey, we are always the correct ones. He has to at least. First of all, we don't know if Gil'dane is actually part of
every time
thing.
he does it, he like every single mushroom inclusion, he's like, well, this is basically certainly wrong, but I'm including it anyways.
I think there are one or two where he's like, that. I think I don't remember the exact ones. I have to go back again. There are one or two where he says like, this time it seems like what Mushroom is saying might be
there's like
correct.
one or
like,
two, and but most of them like
yeah.
Most of them are just like, Mushroom says this happens, but he was also at the wall and was never here. And also there's like 17 eyewitnesses that say exactly opposite things. I'm including this because I'm a historian. I'm just like, why are you including this? Like,
I don't think it's ever that.
Anyways,
extreme.
Mushroom cameo would be fun. I tell you what, have Peter Dinklage cast Peter Dinklage as Mushroom.
No,
do it. Embrace chaos.
I don't think Peter Dinklage would do it. I think he
No, he wouldn't, but it would be hilarious. Can you imagine if they announced Peter Dinklage as Mushroom?
I would be disappointed, to be honest.
I mean, it would be chaos.
It would be.
You have to let chaos reign, Sheikh.
That would let. Okay, I have to. We had the weird theory discussion last time. We went on the weird tangent. I don't want to go on the Tyrion tangent because there is a time traveling Tyrion theory.
Oh my God! There, of course, there is.
Let's not go there.
Okay, I swear, I used to follow A Song of Ice and Fire theories like pretty closely, and then I gave up on them. And I thought they'd hit peak insanity, but I swear they've gotten 20 times more insane since I stopped paying attention to them.
I think this one is actually quite old. You haven't heard this one? Like,
I have not heard time traveling Tyrion.
It's time traveling fetus Tyrion.
That's so much worse.
Yeah, do you want to hear the theory?
No. Okay. Next up, Viserys. He's going down his path of getting really fat and unhealthy and dying at the age of 59, 55, 50 something.
Yeah.
How many years does he have left?
I think we're like in 115 or something. I guess 15 years. 13, 14 years.
He still got some time.
Yeah, he still has time, but like it's slowly like he actually looked so different this episode, no? Like I think he changed his wig a bit.
I think so, yeah.
And also like he looks a bit thicker.
They're doing it enough where I think like the people who don't know what to look for probably didn't notice it. But it's like when we know like that he's gonna be very rotund by the end of his reign, like it's noticeable.
Yeah, I really like I loved him. Like he was really giving those Bobby B vibes without being like
Bobby totally different from Bobby B, right?
Exactly. Like not the same like outgoing like partying type, but like more lonely Bobby B who has like hundreds of people in front of him but still is alone on the stage and seems like he's super lonely. Like I think
he's a better person than Bobby B though. He's a less capable person. Like Bobby B was like really good soldier, bad king. Viserys is like pretty good dude. Bad king.
Yes. But yeah, I mean the scene with him, every scene with him. Like I was going to list all the good scenes with him, but like literally
that's just all of them.
Like I can't think of a bad one. That's mediocre or just okay one. Like
they were all fantastic. Like
even the one where he's killing the stag is good. Like it does his facial thing.
Do you want to say even? That was fantastic. Like that was so good. Like every Viserys, man, like he's killing it. This is not the Matt Smith show. This is the everyone show. Like, but
like
the Viserys
I think Matt Smith is actually like if I would have to make a tier list, he's like B tier.
Yeah, he'd be middle of the pack. I think the Viserys actor and the Uranirez actor. I think the Otto actor, like Otto's not he's a much more subdued character than Daemon, but I think like the actor is playing Otto masterfully.
I'd also put Alicent up there.
Everyone's really good though.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was going in expecting that like Daemon, Corlys, and Rhaenys would be the three standouts, and they're like more in the middle of the pack right now. I'm really happy the way that Rhaenyra and Alicent are doing such a good job, because they are the heart of the story, and
Yeah.
especially with the making them equal in age, they're even more the heart of the story, because now it's all about how their relationship is deteriorating, I feel like. So
Yeah. And yeah, it's like the really, really good from a character perspective, which it was always like the biggest challenge was whether it could hold up to Game of Thrones from a character perspective. Because for the Game of Thrones show, George did so much of the work for them. And here George just like gave them the groundwork. And it was really good groundwork. But it was their job to like actually realize that. And so far they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I agree. Like I'm surprised like that these characters don't feel like one-dimensional at all, right? Like, yeah, I was going to say Damon feels the most one-dimensional, but that's like silly because he isn't. Like, just his character isn't one-dimensional itself.
No,
Like,
I don't think I don't think he is.
yeah,
I think
I'm just saying, like, in terms of how he comes across, like, just he's a wild card. That's basically his character so far. Like that, obviously, that in itself is not one-dimensional. Like being like, somebody has so many facets that he could do anything at any point is already like not one-dimensional. But I don't have any like portrayal of a character where I'm like, that's bad, or that's just I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm really happy. Yeah, how do you think they'll do like Rhaenyra and Alicent from here on out? Do you think it will be like stay with like Rhaenyra being like super mad at her?
I'm kind of wondering if the decision to try and just like do a little civil war is Otto alive when that happens?
Otto is alive, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder how much of that was like Alicent's idea and how much of it was Otto's idea.
Yes, so that's a good point, because in the book it says that it was Alicent's idea to marry Aegon to Rhaenyra. So basically the idea is that Alicent was the one who's trying to like make the war not happen at the start. Here it's Otto who basically tells it to Viserys to do that. I guess Alicent might still do it later on and just in a more official setting, so it makes sense to go into a history book. But it was interesting that like Alicent isn't super outright like trying to place Aegon either as the heir or trying to like marry him to Rhaenyra, which the second thing makes sense. Like a mother not wanting to marry off her 2-year-old is kind of logical.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of feel like when we get to Civil War time, it might kind of be like Otto being like, we have to take the throne. Like Rhaenyra's rule will never be stable. This is our chance while we hold the cards. We hold King's Landing. We have the army. Like for the you have to do this. Like because the realm, like it, even if you think Rhaenyra is a good queen, like it won't matter. And then I can see Alicent kind of being like, well, I feel like they have more dragons than we do. And are we really going to make the Civil War case because of stability? And then I feel like Otto might like have to convince Alicent to start the Civil War, which obviously like the Maester, like Fire and Blood wouldn't know because the history text isn't going to show Otto and Alicent's conversation, like, because they can just talk to each other, not in public because they're like father and daughter.
I can see both ways. Like one thing that makes me wonder if like I think this relationship will keep deteriorating. Like maybe not immediately, but there is a certain one I see going to happen. And
I wonder if maybe it won't even be like, maybe it won't be, I think Rhaenyra would make a good queen. Maybe it would be like, Otto can actually be like, do you honestly think Rhaenyra would make a good queen? And Alicent can be like, I don't, like, but she's the heir. Like it's Civil War and it's like, So I think there's definitely like, I don't think Alicent is going to just like, I think Otto will be involved in Alicent choosing to, do a little Civil War.
I mean, like, even if he's not directing involved, like he's basically like pushing her that way, right? Like, he literally said, like, what was the line he said? He's like, the road ahead might be unclear, but the end is clear that Aegon will be king. It's like for him, it's like there is no other option. It's like whatever happens. But so from what I remember in the book is basically that Otto just keeps hectoring Viserys at like, hey, You should make Aegon the heir. Hey, you should make Aegon the heir. And at some point, Viserys just is like, fuck off. You're no longer my hand. Lionel Strong is now my hand. And then Otto just leaves for a few years, I think, and then a little burning at Harrenhal happens, where
Yeah, and I like how
unfortunately
they're
dies.
setting that up, because it makes sense right now that like if Otto wasn't the hand, who would Viserys make the hand? Like he'd absolutely make Lionel the hand.
Yes.
Lionel's the guy who, from Viserys's perspective, seems to give like the most unbiased advice.
Yes.
Which I'm not sure how unbiased it is. I'm
think
suspicious
that
of helpful people.
I agree. That actor is doing a really good job at seeming like sus enough to be like, are you playing it straight or are you like playing? And I think, do you remember Lionel from the books? Like what we know about Lionel? Okay, because I'm wondering if, like, for me, I thought Lionel was suspicious in the books already because he has an Old Town connection, which hasn't come up yet. Like he studied at the Citadel and built like half a Maester Stain, but at some point I was like, whatever, and like, I'm not having fun. I'm going to leave. And in the books, it's like way more. So in the books, what happened is like one of his sons becomes like commander of the City Watch or something. Not Lord Commander, but he joins the City Watch. One of his sons becomes like a spy master basically, and like the torturer basically for the king. And then he has like 2 or 3 daughters who become handmaidens to Rhaenyra, which are all positions that are perfectly set to spy on the royal family.
Yeah.
So he's suspicious in the books, and he has the connection to Old Town. So a lot of people assume that if there's a Grand Maester theory, that Lionel Strong might be involved, but I don't think they're playing that up at all so far. Like it doesn't seem.
One kind of weird thing for that, like one thing for the Maesters theory is people think like Maesters are trying to get rid of dragons, and it seems like Rhaenyra marrying another dragon rider would be a terrible idea for that, because like that marriage is like most guaranteed to like produce more dragon riders, right? Like you have like there's right, so it seems like from the perspective of like getting rid of dragons, like advice doesn't really track.
Yeah, I agree. Like I don't know if like they're doing that in the show. I don't even know if that makes sense in the books, right? Like it's just people are like, everybody who's related to Old Town is in on this conspiracy. Like it's just a theory. Like as we've talked about, like it doesn't make sense that all of them are a hive mind. And also I think if this anti-dragon theory is a thing, I think only the Maesters will be in on the anti-dragon part. I don't think the Lords would be part of it.
Like this is what I talked about like when we were talking about the Maesters conspiracy. I'm just like, I think there probably are some. I'm just not as convinced it's unified. And my other example is how like the person writing this clearly is biased against Aegon 3, when like they have, if the Maester conspiracy for getting rid of dragons is a thing, they'd have a lot of reasons to really like Aegon 3. Like he'd be their favorite, especially because like he did a pretty good job of not screwing up the realm. He's my boy. Aegon 3, people just disliked him because he was unpleasant to be around, because he was traumatized.
Because of big spoiler for the end of this series.
Yes. Yeah, he was traumatized because of the events of this series.
Do you know that like Game of Thrones, Joffrey spoils the end of the series? That's the most funny thing to me.
What?
In season 3 of Game of Thrones, Joffrey spoils how Rhaenyra dies.
What does Joffrey say?
So Joffrey and Marjorie are in the Sept of Baelor, and the following part doesn't make sense. It's like they're looking down tombs, and he's like, "Hey, that's the tomb of Rhaenyra Targaryen. Her brother fed her to his dragon. Everything that remains of her is there." And I'm like, what remains of her? What is remain?
Another reason. Look at Joffrey's not only a dick, he also spoils television shows.
Yes. So this is in season 3, episode 4. That's like a lot of people are warning people like skip season 3, episode 4 if you're watching Game of Thrones and want to watch House of the Dragon. Like literally spoils the end.
I would just recommend not telling people that. Like people aren't, if they haven't started House of the Dragon, like they're not gonna. Do you know how many Targaryen names there are? I can barely remember. It's Rhaenyra. I've read Fire and Blood, watched Game of Thrones multiple times, and read A Song of Ice and Fire multiple times. Like,
yeah, that's fair. Like, it's just funny to me that And it's perfect that it's Joffrey that's running the show.
Yeah, it really is. That's actually hilarious. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I actually rewatched the first 6 seasons this year because a roommate of mine was watching them. So I was like watching and discussing it, and I was like, okay, this is funny. Like I noticed it myself.
Oh, I guess
Anyway,
you noticed it after House of the Dragon like had been announced, and you were just like,
like
"Damn, Joffrey!"
I had read Fire and Blood at that, and I was like, wow, this is funny. Like,
And doesn't Shireen talk about the Dance of the Dragons at some point? Does she spoil anything?
I think she does talk about it. I don't think she spoils anything. I think she just talks about like that brother fought sister. Like I'd have to go back. I don't think there was a major spoiler in there.
Okay.
The Joffrey thing is just like he's laughing about people dying horribly, which is in character.
On brand.
Yes. But anyway, what parts of Rhaenyra are in that tomb if she was eaten by a dragon?
One tooth.
Okay, I had a less unsavory answer, but let's not go there.
Sir.
I mean, if a dragon eats you, he's not going to spit out one tooth. Probably going to eat all of you.
No, the tooths survive digestion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's unsavory.
So maybe multiple teeth, just the teeth.
And then they were like, okay, let's ship this to the Sept. Very in the Sept. Tangents. We like tangents. Where were we?
Hey, if you didn't want tangents, you should have gotten someone else to do these collabs with.
Okay. Let's go to the carriage scene.
Also, by the way, I am on one thing. This is from an earlier episode. The Grand Sept better get destroyed, because if it doesn't, they have no reason to build the Great Sept of Baelor. The Grand Sept was in episode 2, and it looked bigger than the Great Sept of Baelor.
Yeah, and I saw. I don't know if it's built on the hill or not. So with the Sept, I was also thinking about it because it was annoying me. So there used to be a Sept called the Sept of Remembrance, but Maegor the Cruel, I think, burned that one down.
Sounds right.
And I don't know. And Baelor, like, yeah, I don't know. Like in the show, the High Sparrow says that the stuff that's at the bottom of the Sept of Baelor, that's existed forever, and that Baelor just built on top of it.
Okay, but like the Grand Sept is already huge. Like,
yeah, that's what it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe it will get destroyed. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe it's just a different big Sept in.
Hey, it can get destroyed in between this. Oh no, there's not really that much. There's only the young dragon and Aegon 3.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
We'll see.
Aegon 3 can destroy it. Whatever. Aegon 3 can just be like, screw this Sept in particular, and that can be why people don't like him, and it just isn't in history books for some reason.
Anyway, carriage scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so Viserys talks with Rhaenyra about having children, about giving him a grandchild, basically.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra is not very happy about it.
Yes.
Okay, now Alicent is like, it wasn't too bad. Like Aegon came out easily enough, and then there is this weird look where she looks to the Septas, and the Septas look to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra just looks away. I was like, what just happened? And then I was like, Emma Aaron, like telling Rhaenyra that like childbirth isn't super hard when her mother died in childbirth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, I think we have some definitive proof that childbirth is quite difficult, like considering.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alicent was trying to be nice in there. Like, I don't think she has any malicious.
Yeah, she's
like,
just trying to be like, it wasn't that bad.
And then, but Rhaenyra is just like,
one of the Septs was probably there when birth was happening, and she was like, I remember you yelling. I think it sounded not that fun.
Yeah, it also will be a bit of a like show up eating. Like, it's easy for me. Like
easy peasy.
And like we know that Rhaenyra will have like a lot of childbirth, and not all of them will be very nice. So small foreshadowing.
Her children will be very strong, Sheikh.
Yes, but I mean, we know that like with all the childbirth that like she goes through a physical change in the books. which might not be exactly what happens.
Also, for sure, I like for when Lionel Strong was like, I would never want any of my children to marry Rhaenyra. Well,
no, sir. No, sir.
yeah, no.
Okay. Still carriage scene, because I think there was a lot of not subtle, but like a lot of stuff that I found interesting. Viserys asked Rhaenyra to join in the hunt.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Like,
yeah, I don't know why.
Like, but her answer, very interesting. I'd rather not. The boars squeal like children while they're being slaughtered. I find it discomforting. In the exact moment, the Aegon squeals in that moment.
Oh, here's one. Here's another one. When for like one of the early scenes, I just remembered this. You hear Viserys being like, he does have my eyes, and he's referring to Aemon, but the camera is showing us the roast boar, the roast pig.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I was like, wait, is he saying the pig has his eyes, like in his face? Like, what's going on? Just random thing I wanted to bring up. I laughed at that. I thought that was funny. That was clever. Yeah. Someone chuckled while filming that.
Yeah, I think George probably liked them showing the food, because George likes to describe food in his books. So
absolutely. Also, Viserys eating a lot is going to be a plot point. So
yes, staying true to the books. That's all I'm saying. Like, they're just.
We actually just need an entire episode of just like going through a banquet.
I mean, I may have this wrong, but I think in the books, like, Joffrey's wedding has like 77 courses, and he describes a lot of them.
Yeah, he does. He likes describing food.
Okay, next thing. Still in the carriage. So Viserys throws in her face that like she has duties and stuff, and she's like, as I'm ceaselessly reminded. He's like, you wouldn't need to be reminded if you ever attended to them.
Yeah.
Ouch. And okay, I would say the last line. But what are her duties, and what do you think? What is she not attending to? I was a bit confused.
I feel like he's trying to, like, she's the heir, so he's probably giving her like ruling related stuff to do. But she in her head is like, I'm being replaced as the heir anyway. Screw this. Which is kind of what I was talking about, like the self-fulfilling prophecy of like one of the reasons people end up not wanting her to be the heir is that she didn't act like the heir, and she didn't act like the heir because she thought she wasn't going to be the heir. So I felt like it was that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that's like, I was just a bit confused, because at the end she says like, no one's here for me. I'm like, so I think that's basically like, they're here for Aegon. Is that
yeah, for sure.
Being like, you're going to replace me, like just suddenly being like,
yeah, and then later like everyone is like celebrating Aegon, and she's just like walking through, and it has like no one even notices her walk by.
Yeah. Okay, now the big thing I want to talk about, like, this is the royal hunt scene. I love the royal hunt. I love it. First of all, George didn't like the royal hunt scene in the Game of Thrones TV show, because it was Robert and three other I think it was Robert, Renly, Barristan, and Lancel just walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And he complained about it. He was like, when the king goes hunting, it's not just 4 people going through the woods. And D&D were like, well, we don't have any budget anymore. Like, I think they actually specifically said, we don't have horse budget anymore. We can't do anything else. So he was kind of sad that the hunt didn't happen. And he said that in numerous interviews, that he was like, that's one of the things that I was like sad about, that we didn't get the big hunt scene, even though that's not even in the book. Like, we don't see the hunt on screen. Anyway, so.
But he was probably like, we can finally see things from Robert's point of view. We can actually see the hunt scene now. And then it was just like, then they were just like, George, no hunt scene. And he was just like, what's the point of having you adapt this? I wanted this scene with Robert.
That's probably accurate. Okay, so I think Ryan Connell was just like, okay, poor George. It's sad that we didn't get to do the hunt scene. I'm just going to do the same hunt scene here from the book. Okay, so the White Hart is a plot point in that hunt scene in the book. Basically, they go out hunting because somebody sees that White Hart, like in the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
In that, so Robert basically specifically goes to hunt that White Hart because, and this is a quote. Let me quickly. Okay, so this is in A Game of Thrones, Sansa's third chapter. So we already know that they're going to hunt this White Hart, and she's like, "I had a dream that Joffrey would be the one to take the White Hart." And then it's like, it had been more of a wish actually, but it sounded better to call it a dream. Everyone knew that dreams were prophetic. Sounds. And then White Harts were supposed to be very rare and magical. And in her heart, she knew her gallant prince was worthier than his drunken father. Like,
he's so worthy and gallant and handsome.
It's just early Sansa.
Yeah, early Sansa is something else. Hey,
So,
I wonder if the White Harts are rare because every time one gets spotted, they kill it.
Good theory, good theory. I think we need more evidence of that, but good theory. Did you like the White Hart symbolism though?
Yeah,
in this.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought the hunt scene. I thought one of my favorite scenes was like to show how like frustrating being the royal was when Viserys, like not even with one stab, like hesitantly goes up, stabs it, doesn't kill it, and stabs it again, and then people start applauding, and he's just like he knows he didn't actually do well, and like not only that, so many people here, like they could have easily taken down this thing down. Like they were so good at hunting, they managed to tie it up. Do you know how much easier it would have been to just kill it? Like he's like me, he knows him being here made things just actively way more difficult, and then he got applauded. So I love that. And then yeah, I like the White Hart just showing up for Rhaenyra. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think,
and as I said, it made Otto like he doesn't actually have to eat his words because he didn't see that. But if he was able to watch this episode, he'd totally have to eat his words.
Yes. Yeah, I really liked it. Like, actually, did you notice that it wasn't the White Hart when Viserys was killing it? I was like, is that supposed to be a White Hart? Like,
no, they said it wasn't White Hart.
Okay. Maybe
they were like, it's not a White Hart, but it's still like a big beast.
Okay. Yeah. On first watch, like it's annoying here because I don't have it like on demand. Like the first time it just runs for an hour linearly, and then an hour later you can play it with subtitles. So I didn't have subtitles. I'm like, what did they
I
say?
didn't have subtitles either, Sheikh. Okay.
Hey, English is not my first language.
Okay, fine.
I have mixed it. Anyway, fine. No, but also like sometimes you just speak faster, and I'm like, did I?
Yeah. So they specifically said like this isn't a White Hart, but like it's still like a really really big animal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So okay, the White Hart symbolism. I also like that it showed up with Rhaenyra, and I like that they didn't do like as you. Yeah, we talked about this, right? In the
it didn't go to Disney fairy princess on us, where like the White Hart came up and was like, "Hey, can I like nudge her with the face?" That would have just been like corny.
Yeah.
And also like realistically, like not only would it be corny, like it wouldn't have made sense because Kristen would be like, "No, sword."
Like I mean, he did pull up the sword.
Yeah, he started to because not because obviously he was going to chase down and hunt it, but because like if it charged, he wanted to be like. Have something like they would have probably just died if it charged them realistically. But
yes, and we have seen with the board that Kristen flies away.
Yeah, exactly. He's got some interesting like video game physics mechanics going on.
I need to rewatch that scene because when I laughed when it happened. I was like, "What the fuck just happened? Like, did he just fly away?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, boar also. I need to go back to the stack in a second, but the boar also something. It killed Robert Baratheon, so they were like, let's just put a boar in here. Why not? Like, and with the stack, so somebody pointed out that the symbolism of the spear was made by Tywin Lannister, right? Like he gave it to Viserys, and like a Lannister spear killing a stag, which is the sigil of the Baratheons.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So a lot of the time, like for A Song of Ice and Fire, people are like, "Look, the symbolism with the animals." I'm like, "Come on, it's not that impressive." Like,
no, not somebody was saying it's like too it's too on the nose to be like, "Hey, look, Lannister stuff is."
Yeah, I don't care that like of the symbolism, like early in the books where it's like, "Look, the stag killed the wolf," and I'm just like, "Okay, yeah, obvious." I mean, Like that is not exactly subtle symbolism when you have a
No,
house
no.
that has a stag. And like I don't care that much about like the house animal symbolism. Like it's just because like
Fair.
it's so obvious to the setting.
Mhm.
But also it's
Yeah.
not like I'm annoyed by it being there because I can just ignore it and be like, oh yeah, he's just it's just this guy's a fop who thinks Lannisters are way cooler than they are, and it's 300 years or 200 years early and doesn't understand that Lannisters aren't the most.
Where I think it gets interesting in the book is though, because in the book some people see it as an omen that like when something like that happens, like they're like, oh, does that mean something? Like Catelyn has this or in a monologue where she's like, the stag killed this wolf. Should we be worried or something? I think that's where it gets interesting and it's like actually relevant to a character. But I mean, I agree, but I just wanted to like see your thoughts on like if it was a bit too heavy-handed to be like, hey.
I thought it just worked better as like character stuff for the like and very fitting of the Lannister character. And Robert, like clearly Viserys, he clearly just wanted to tell the guy to be like, screw off, I'm not using your spear. But he was just kind of like, I'm the king. Okay, yeah. Oh, this spear, it's so nice. He did a Viserys, the actor did such a job of holding it and being like, this is a very well-crafted weapon, and you could tell like he didn't actually care. But the Lannister is pride is pride, so he's like, it's a well-crafted weapon. The king likes it, and he was like, look, the king is enthusiastic to use my spear, and the king's just like, okay, fine. Are you sure?
And yeah, even during the hunt, he's like, king here, spear.
He's like, look, you were so enthusiastic, and Viserys is like, oh yeah. And also, like, you could tell Viserys getting off the horse. I would like for that hunt. I was like, he's hungover right now. And he like hungover Viserys was just like, I'll take the bloody spear, I'll stab this stag twice, and then people will bloody applaud me, not because I did anything useful, but because I am your king. Bow down, you shits. Go get the breastplate stretcher, etc.
Anyway, not quite that part of Robert Baratheon, but
no, that they're not actually. That's a movie. I just love that line.
But yeah, I definitely got some Robert vibes. So I've said that multiple times today. But
I said it before for our Fire and Blood conversation that like, and when people are like, where would Robert rank on your king tier list? And I'm like, well, about the same as Viserys. I mean, he kind of did the same type of stuff. Like he was just like he ruled when he was ruling. It was a time of relative peace and relative prosperity. But when he died, everything fell apart, and it was kind of his fault that when he died, everything fell apart. But he didn't actively cause it; he just failed to stop everything, and that applies to both of them.
Yes, I agree. Cool. Okay, we talked about the Lannisters already, so I think we can skip that.
Yeah.
One thing I like is the introduction of two new strong characters. Not these strong characters that we're waiting, but
they're very strong.
Not yet. We're not there yet, but we did get the name Harwin Breakbones called out when Lionel and Viserys were talking, right? Yeah, I think Viserys is like, you're going to suggest your son, Harwin Breakbones, for Rhaenyra. Lionel is like, no.
And unlike Otto, I don't think he was going to suggest that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he realizes that it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think he was always coming up to suggest Valeria.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think he is a realist. Like, he doesn't seem like somebody who's like thinks that it will work anyway, right? Like, that's the impression I get. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. But anyway, we did get to see Harwin. Did you notice the look he gave to Rhaenyra?
I didn't even know seeing him. I'll watch it again before the next episode.
So when Rhaenyra comes back from the boar thing, you see a shot of like Harwin and Larys. And
that's Harwin. I didn't know who that was.
Harwin is just like, she's full with blood. He's like, me like you, basically.
Even though, would he be less impressed if he knew that she actually only stabbed a boar that was like already dead a bunch?
I don't know, but I thought it was funny. And like, again, I don't know if people generally notice it, but I was like, okay, they're setting it up already. Nice. And even bigger than that, like Harwin didn't have any speaking lines, I think. But Larys, you notice Larys? No. The clubfoot.
Yeah. I just didn't know who he was.
Yeah, so he's Harwin's brother, right? So in the books, he becomes the justiciar for the king, which just means he's the torturer for the king. So,
moment. Okay.
and then later on, he becomes a master of whisperers, which Laris is. This shows Varys, basically.
Yeah, names rhyme, same person. How it works.
Yes.
Also, by the way, Fire and Blood did come out after the first Law trilogy, so I'm absolutely calling this person a Glockner ripoff and saying George ripped off Joe Abercrombie.
Is Glockner also like a clubfoot?
No, he's just crippled because he.
Okay, it might actually be him. I think he's read First Law. I want to say because I think Joe Abercrombie and Martin are friends.
I know Abercrombie's a huge fan of A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't know if George has read First Law.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe not, but might be. But Laris, they already set up some stuff with him, like obviously the clubfoot part, but also when the women are not scheming, but like just talking about stuff, about the stepstones and stuff at the start of the episode, he's just like comes there and he's like, "I'm not made for hunting. May I sit with you, ladies?" And we know in like 10 years' time he's going to be the spy master who's going to have spies everywhere, and he's already like positioning himself to be like to start listening in on these like conversations.
Are you ready? I have the nitpickiest nitpick to ever nitpick.
Sure.
Are you ready for this?
Sure.
The fact that the dog is a pug. Pugs were breeded by people for like weird reasons.
Okay,
like, it breaks suspension of disbelief that Westeros also breeded pugs. Terrible episode. 1 out of 10.
I also, when I saw that dog, I was like, something. I don't know anything about dog breeding and stuff. So I was like, this dog doesn't look right. Like this looks immersion breaking. Something is wrong.
It's immersion breaking. Come on, guys. But it's also anyways. I just wanted to. That's not a real nitpick. I thought it was a funny thing.
It's funny because I also was like, something is bothering me about this, but I don't know anything about dogs, so I don't know.
I don't know that much about it, but I know Westeros probably doesn't have pugs.
Yes. Okay. Okay. The main thing that I have left is basically the Uranirez marriage proposal thing. So at this point, Viserys has basically told Rhaenyra that she can choose whoever she wants.
Yeah.
How do you think this will play out? Like,
I don't know.
This is interesting that they went this direction.
Yeah, because I mean, like, pick Mr. Strong. I know, like, everyone who hasn't read the book is like, okay, like it looks obvious. Everyone right now is like, she's obviously going to marry Kristen Cole, right? Like, everyone who has not read Fire and Blood is thinking that. It looks incredibly predictable, right? But obviously, she doesn't. Yes. Also, Viserys told her to multiply. She really took that seriously. Took advice. I actually really like that scene though, when Rhaenyra was like, when Viserys was like, strengthen your claim. Like I really like that scene.
And she's like, how do I strengthen my claims? By having bastards who don't have.
Yeah, and that's going to be a thing for the next episode, right? Because we saw it for the preview. Viserys was like, what's this vile accusation?
Yeah, I'm wondering what do you think exactly what this is about?
I think it's about her children who are very strong. I think we're getting that monologue next episode, Sheikh.
I don't think
maybe 2 episodes. 2 episodes before her children are very strong.
I don't think so.
It's the most anticipated scene I have ever had for a TV show since the Red Wedding. Okay.
I'm saying it's either episode 6 or episode 7. I think it's after the time jump.
That's literally the scene I'm most excited for in this entire show.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen next, like with the vile accusations thing, is either Daemon and Rhaenyra having something, or Kristen and Rhaenyra
or Kristen Cole and Rhaenyra,
because that's something that still needs to happen. So yeah, I think Rhaenyra won't get married until just before the time jump, and then we like jump time and she'll have kids, and we'll be like, these kids don't have white hair. What's going on?
That's
like that's, and then I think. Because episode 6, the one after the time jump, is called The Princess and the Queen, which that dinner seems like it would be a good position.
Oh yeah, that's when her children will be very strong. Okay.
that's my thought. And then episode 7 is called Driftmark, which 100% I think is the episode where the one I've seen is going to happen, because that happens on Driftmark. Like, I don't see why you would call and
Wait,
that
also,
episode
I've had a brain fart this entire time. I just remembered something. Isn't Strong just like the Stormland's bastard name? No?
No, that's
Storms.
Storm is the Strong is
Is it not a bastard name for somewhere? Because it's like Robert
No.
Strong from.
yeah, I think that's because Qyburn is just like, this is a long lost Strong or something. I'd
Okay,
have to
okay,
check,
so it
but-
actually is a house. Okay.
Yeah, it is a house, but I don't know how, because they're the Lords of Harrenhal at this point.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how they got that, because Harrenhal obviously like changes every 5 years. Who gets that?
Yeah, every 5 minutes more like.
I mean, they've had it for a while. I think they were Lionel Strong was the Lord during the Great Council. I think.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. So it will be interesting to see how we end up with the marriage that we'll end up having with Rhaenyra, because from the preview it seems like maybe Viserys will start pushing her in a certain direction, because it looks like she might have like people just coming to court trying to like impress her or something.
It sounds like it might be like you can marry whoever you want, but like it'd be really nice if you married Laenor. Just saying.
Yeah, one theme in all 3 episodes is like Viserys is always apologizing to Rhaenyra. Like in episode 1, he's like apologizing. I have been wanting for a son. I should have just named you. In episode 2, he's apologizing for not communicating and being like, "Hey, look, I'm going to marry, but like, don't worry, it's not going to affect you." And then here he's like, "There's been 3 years. Like, talk more, you two. Why do you not talk for 3 years about this stuff?"
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the things they have for the time skip, right? Like they have
Yeah.
to have bad communication between them. Because they have to have these conversations happen years apart. That being said,
Yeah.
bad communication between them is in character for both, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, but I'm just like, it's funny because he literally, like in the last scene between them in each episode, he's just saying, "I'm sorry," in all 3 episodes, which I find funny. Like, I don't have an issue with it, but it's just funny. And I saved one more. Do you have anything on these points?
I don't think so. I think I'm
one, because I have one final point that I've saved, and I want you to guess what the point is.
okay. Hit me.
I think
You know,
this
if there's ever a Stormlight show, I'm gonna do this to you, right? Well, I'm gonna be like, so what disease do you think this is?
it's grayscale. It's always grayscale.
Well, in this case, it would be the common cold, but is what the question would be.
Okay. I have no idea what that means. Like, I know
Yeah,
what the common
you'll
cold is, but,
get
like, I
it.
don't know.
Well, you'll probably get it when you reread Stormlight. If you reread Stormlight like 3 times, and you'll be like, "Oh, okay, now I know what he's talking about." If there's ever a Stormlight show, I'll bring this up.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get to my point, but like Stormlight show, we have crabs here. I already mentioned last time, but
We did.
I think it was Kanas on Discord. It was like, the crab stuff is already done. I was like, this was just like to set up the Stormlight show. They would just give you a sneak peek about with crabs.
Yeah,
And they're like,
exactly. They're just setting it up. They're just they're because
So-
they're advertising because it's gonna be HBO Stormlight, and they're like, "See, crabs are fun."
See, we already had this conversation last time. They talked about investiture last episode. They had
Yeah.
crabs this episode.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. So, okay. Now, the final point that I wanted to talk about is I'm quite mad about this episode because I feel like that I would be on a 9 out of 10 for this episode. I think they baited me to be like, no, this is very close to a 10. Because they mentioned Jaehaerys twice. It's like, yes.
Yeah, more mentions of Jaehaerys.
I-
Also, it's funny how even if Rhaenyra was Jaehaerys reborn, she's not.
She is not, but yeah, I love that. And I also really loved like Lionel Strong talk about Jaehaerys and how he's a
Oh
great
yeah,
king that
I
he
love that. When he was
I-
like, yeah, he ruled like 60 years of peace, half a century of peace, and like his children drove him mad. His daughters drove him mad.
Yeah,
That
so
was
I
fantastic.
love every J.K. mention. We love the Alisan mention in the first episode with the Viserys, and then
And those were good Jaehaerys mentions, like especially the
Yeah,
strong
exactly.
one where when Viserys was like, "I'm the king and I can't handle my own daughter," and the guy was like, "Yeah, but neither could Jaehaerys, so it's fine."
yeah, exactly. So I think very well done, and that's why I think this shows that Condell likes these books, right? Like Condell isn't just like, okay, let's get this story done. He's like,
Yeah, they're not
with the
here
hunt.
because they just wanted to do really like one scene. They're here
Yeah.
because they like everything like Westeros did.
Yeah, and like it's something like you have to think of it, right? To make like Lionel Strong say that. It's not something that is like obvious that you're just like, okay, you're like, okay, no, like it would be nice and to mention Jaehaerys, so let's find a way to do it.
Yeah, and it's a
logically.
natural, like that's something that someone I feel like would mention, right? Like
Exactly.
like it's
exactly.
both I like it because I like Jaehaerys, and it's actually like natural dialogue. Yeah, really good.
Yes. And like, yeah, in previous episodes we have
Oh, you had a
mention of
question that you were
Mabel.
gonna make me guess. Was that?
Yeah, I was going to make you guess that I was mentioning Jaehaerys. That's
Oh,
what I
okay.
was saying. I just wanted you to guess if you noticed.
Oh, I thought
What
it
I
was
would
gonna
say
be
for the-
another. Do you know who this person is? And I was gonna be like, no.
I don't know. I didn't have time to watch the whole episode again, so I don't have that many. It's good that I don't have that many notes because we are already about an hour in. So if I
Yeah,
had
so
more
we're
notes,
gotta wrap things up.
yes. Is this your favorite episode? No, that we've talked about it for almost 2 hours.
Barely.
Okay.
Like the first 40, like the non-battle stuff is by far my favorite section. And I still like the battle. But yeah, so this is I've liked each episode more than the last. They'd all get like a 9 though, because I don't watch enough TV shows to do decimals for TV shows. But this one I considered being like 9.5.
Yeah,
and one I considered being like 8.5. One was like, if we were doing decimals, one would probably be just below 9, and 2 would be like 9, and this would be like just above 9.
Yeah, like okay, I have like 3, 1, 2. Right, I like 1 a bit more,
Yeah.
or I like 2 a bit less is probably more accurate. But yeah, I'm really happy how this is going because if you already have 9s in this part of the story, so 2 things might happen. One might be it's just us and we like the slower episodes because we are the people who like the Jaehaerys part the most in Fire and Blood.
True.
So
Yeah,
maybe
Bob's
this is
my
just-
favorite author. I'm not known for needing speed.
So either that's why we like this more, and then the rest will be like still good, but like it won't be like an immense jump. Or when this plot actually starts moving, because right now it's still like just set up, right? Like we haven't.
This is none of this is like the exciting parts of Fire and Blood. Like
like this is like the first 20 or 30 pages of like a bridge chapter between Jaehaerys and the dance. Like
yeah, this is all the stuff that's like it did not make me go, oh yeah, this needs to be adapted.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see like when I think we're getting to stuff next week with Daemon being crowned king of the Narrow Sea, coming to court, the whole wild accusations thing. I think next week is going to be interesting because it seems like a lot of the weird things that happen in this story are going to start happening. And I can't wait to see how they play the Kristen, Rhaenyra, Daemon, Harwin, Laenor. It's such a mess.
Yes.
Dynamic. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I think that's all I got.
Yeah, cool. Then thank you everyone for watching. Let us know once again if Jake has any special question for book readers. He doesn't. I shouldn't put you on the spot.
I don't. Sorry.
I shouldn't put you on the spot. Show some love to win in the comments, and we'll see you next week.
Just let us know if Vin stole the show too much.
See you next week.
Bye, everyone.